Hola y bienvenidos a Sex and Spanglish, where we empower mujeres to get in touch with their bodies, own their pleasure, and where we discuss all the cochinadas our abuelas didn't tell us about. I'm Ana Lopez, sexpert, future doctora, certified sex and life coach, proud Latina, and your go-to guide for all things sex. I'm here to help you kick vergüenza to the curb and teach you to have guilt-free sexual pleasure. Basically, I'm here to help you have mind-blowing sex without all the guilt and shame you learned growing up. Let's be real. La comunidad latina doesn't talk about sex, pero que suerte tienes because this Latina does. It is my vision to have Latinas worldwide discussing sex with one another just like they do with chisme. Así que, prepárate. I'm about to change the way you view sex para siempre. Welcome back to another episode of the Sex and Spanglish podcast. Today we are going to be talking about what to look for and what not to look for in a therapist, coach, or a program as it relates to solving sexual issues and frustrations. So even if you are currently not looking for, a therapist, a coach, or a program, and you're just like, I just want some information. This is still going to be very beneficial to you because at some point you may decide that you want to hire someone. And even if you never hire someone, you may decide that some of the people that you are following, whether it be by reading their books, reading their blogs, on their social media, watching their TikToks, whatever it is, you may decide that they are not people that you want to follow. So, listen in. I also want to preface this podcast by saying that I am currently staying at a hotel in Philly, and my room is actually right next to the elevator. So if you hear people knocking on doors or walking, someone was running down the hallway yesterday, I don't know, whatever. Or if you hear dinging, things like that, I'm sorry ahead of time. The desk is right next to the wall, so this needs to be recorded. I didn't record a podcast for last week. As you might have noticed, I was just feeling really, really sick all week, and I just didn't get it out. So despite being in a room that may or may not have a ton of background noise, I wanted to record this and get this out to you. So let's get started. So before I get into what to look for and what not to look for in either a therapist or a coach or a program that you might be looking into, I want to let you all know that there is a difference between a therapist and a coach, and different programs you might be taking depending on who is leading those programs. Surface level answer is that a therapist, depending on the state, is typically licensed in some fashion or form. Coaches can be certified or not. And then as far as a program, it's going to be entirely dependent on who is running it, what the background is on that. Now, all therapists, coaches, and people that hold programs have different backgrounds. So it's important to really understand who it is that you're working with, what their values are, things like that. And as I'm saying this, I realize that can be an entirely different episode. So I definitely will record another episode on that. But for now, I want to talk about what to look for and what not to look for, regardless if you're looking for a therapist, a coach, or a program. And there's many of you that are like, I'm not sure what I want. So, I don't know if I want a therapist. I don't know if I want a coach or a program. So hopefully this will just give you some generalized information to start with. And then next week we can talk about the differences between therapy, coaching, and, other professional-led programs. So I want to start off by talking what not to look for in a therapist. This is what you're going to look out for, right? Be very cautious of these things. You want to be cautious of professionals that are offering the answer, as in it's only one answer, like a one-size-fits-all, or if it's a quick fix. Those are definitely things you want to be cautious of. These things, so oftentimes Programs in particular kind of do this, and sometimes coaches as well will talk about specific things like their methodology that they use, right? The way that they get you results. And that is not a problem. But if they talk about it as if it is the only thing, like, you're only going to solve this problem if you go to church, or you, you stop going to church, or you start doing missionary again, or whatever it is, right? It's like some audacious request in order for you to get results. And that is very similar to the diet industry. That's oh, you absolutely have to count calories in order to get this. This is the way to do it. These other things aren't as good, right? Those are very the answer, quick fix types of things. You need to be leery, is that the word? Leery of these things, because they don't provide long-term results, right? They're just a quick fix. They solve the symptom. They don't solve for the problem. And as a result, they don't get to the root of the problem. So the problem is still happening, right? Why you are having this issue to begin with is never solved. It also takes away your autonomy, and it buys into the belief that the professional knows more than you do. Now, I will not argue that the professional is the, expert on sex or the issue that you're coming to them for, right? If you come and you work with me, I am the expert in the field of sexology in our client-coach relationship. However, you are the professional on you. You are the one that knows your life. You are the one that knows your body better than I do and better than anyone else. You are with that body 24/7, right? You are the professional. So by me telling you, hey, there is only one way to fix this problem, that is me not taking into consideration any of your lived experiences, any of your health history. It's not taking into consideration your values and beliefs. It is not taking into consideration any of that. I'm just giving you a one-size-fits-all answer. And as y'all know, if you've ever shopped in the women's section at a clothing store, one size fits all does not fit all, right? So it's super important to pay attention to things that are presented as a quick fix or the one and only answer. If their solution that they are offering for you doesn't work for you, then, this one size fits all type of thing, if you decide to go with them and they're this is the way, then if it doesn't work for you, you leave feeling like your problems can't be solved. And I really, truly believe that every single person's sexual issues and frustrations can be solved in one way or another. Maybe we can't get your partner to do a certain thing because we don't have control over that, but we can manage your mind around that and get you to a place where you are happy and healthy. And so your issues can definitely be addressed, and professionals, myself or otherwise, should not be telling you that you have to do a certain thing in order to get results. That's not how that works, right? I don't expect you to change your life in order to get you results that you want. The second thing to look out for is that you don't resonate with the provider. So if this is this could be the program, this could be the therapist, coach, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you don't resonate with who is facilitating, who is providing you with care. Studies actually show that the connection between a therapist and a client, right, or the helping profession and the client is just as important, if not more important, as the methodology that they are using. So when we go back to maybe talking about therapy, it doesn't matter if they use cognitive behavioral therapy or they're using, family systems, or they're using any of these other types of methods that therapists use, or, whatever. It doesn't matter. if you are not connecting with them, it doesn't matter because you're not going to want to listen to them. It's kind of like when kids, like, they'll take advice from their friends' parents, but they won't take advice from their parents. Like, because they want to be like obstinate and stubborn about it. They're like, oh no, like, I don't want to hear it from you. But most kids go through this phase of where like they don't necessarily want to listen to their parents and they're more connected with other people. And so it's the same thing, right? Or you're willing to take advice from someone that you know and trust versus like some random ass person, right? So it's super important that you are connecting with your provider. If you aren't connecting with them, you are likely going to hold back and you aren't going to get the full effect of the help being provided. It would be like if you went to a restaurant and ordered food, right? So you go to the restaurant, they're like, hi, how can I help you? Can I take your order? And you're like, okay, just give me food. You're going to get food, but you're not going to get what you really came for, right? Like, not only did you want sustenance, but you wanted something that you liked, right? You're just giving them like this vague description of what it is that you want, and they're not able to give it to you because they are left in the dark, right? So if you feel like you have to hold back from your therapist or your coach or whoever it is that is helping you, then that is an indication that they are not the right person for you, because you should be comfortable enough to open up and share with them the things that are going on with you in your life. An easy way to do this is to find someone that has similar identities to you. So if you are a Latina, which many of you listening are, maybe try to go to a Latina therapist. Maybe if you are, gay or lesbian or bisexual, any other identity, it doesn't matter. It could be sexual orientation. It could be maybe you're neurodivergent, whatever. It doesn't matter. It might be beneficial to you if you strongly identify with that and you feel like those identities definitely come into play when it comes to your sexual issues and frustrations, then you're going to want to look for a professional that has similar identities to you. And the reason for that is not to say that maybe like a white male can't help you, or like a straight person, or, whatever other opposite identity. Not to say that they can't help you and that they aren't beneficial and, don't know what they're talking about. But the reason why it is so important to find someone that you not only resonate with, but also has like similar identities to you, is because you don't go into it feeling you have to explain this whole backstory as to why you're still maybe asking your parents for permission in your 30s, why you are still living with your parents in your 20s because you're not married yet and you're single, right? And in your family, you don't leave the house until you're married, or why, you don't know how to process your feelings, or you weren't allowed to relax as a child. And so now you really struggle with it and it brings you a lot of anxiety, right? It's so frustrating. And I say this from personal experience and also listening to my clients about how, going to a therapist or going to a helping professional, and they're just like, I feel like I have to explain my whole life and then go into my issue. And so you spend the entire session, trying to get them to understand something that they may never fully understand. And so that's why I think that it is super important to be able to have similar identities to you. The third thing to look out for is if the professional is only giving you action items, right? They're like telling you what to do. Oh, buy this lingerie. Tell your partner this. Don't do this, right? Have this conversation, like whatever it is. Have sex 5 times a week. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If they're only giving you action items, this isn't going to do anything but put more on your to-do list. And the people listening to my podcast, y'all already have enough shit to do. You're working moms, many of you. Many of you are like not working outside of the home, but you either work from home or you're just like a stay-at-home mom. So you've got a bunch of like household shit to do. Like y'all have a lot going on. Those of you that are not moms also have a lot going on. A lot of you work, you have families to take care of, as in like your extended family and friends, right? You have a lot going on, and adding another thing to your to-do list is not going to do anything but add to your stress levels, which is not good for sex, as I've said time and time again. So only giving you action items is not going to help. And it also doesn't solve for the root of the problem, right? It's just like, oh, do this. Like, okay, but why are you having that issue to begin with? Action items are great, right? There are many times that I tell my clients to do things, but it's not the only thing that I tell them to do. If you're just trying all the things, right? Just like buying lingerie and buying sex toys and buying this magazine and this prop and blah, 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 blah. Those are just a short fix. It doesn't solve for why this problem is happening in the first place. You're essentially just buffering by spending a shit ton of money on things that never really solve for the problem. The next thing to look out for is if you're the professional that you are working with. So again, the therapist, the coach, or the program, the person leading the program, is trying to change your beliefs or desires. It is not the professional's job to change your beliefs. That is not what they're there for. If you are adamant about, for example, not giving blowjobs, and your therapist or your coach or the program that you're in insists on you giving blowjobs in order to solve your issue, you aren't going to get very far, right? It is not their job. It is not the professional's job to change what you believe in, like ethically, morally, whatever. It is not their job to change any of that. It is also not their job to get you to like something, right? You don't have to like doggy style and reverse cowgirl in order to have amazing sex. If you tell me I'm only willing to have missionary, no oral, lights off, door closed at night before bed, then I will work around that, because that is my job, is to work around your beliefs and your desires. How can I incorporate and utilize my knowledge and my professional expertise to help you as you already are? It is not my job or my role to change those things. Like, you're not paying me to change you. There's nothing wrong with you. We can work around those things, right? Like, I want to hear your beliefs. I want to hear your desires. And if you want to keep them, then that's fine. We work around those things. You don't have to change your beliefs or your desires for anyone, especially not someone that you're fucking paying. Like, don't know. Okay, so the next thing is the professional doesn't meet you where you are. If you aren't willing to do something ever, like it's off the table, just like in the last example, if you're like, I'm only willing to do missionary ever, forever, or at least for the time being, I'm only willing to do missionary. Again, it is my job as the professional to work around that. Now, I can tell you, you know what, like I might use other positions as examples, but that doesn't mean I'm going to force you, which how can I? It's not like I'm going to go to your house and be like, hey, I'm here to like force you to do doggy style, right? Like that's not going to happen. But like, it is not my job to tell you to do something else. If you are adamant about only doing missionary, then we're going to talk about missionary a lot. Like, that's fine. You don't have to change that. So if you aren't willing to do something, whether it be ever or for the time being, or you aren't ready just yet, and the professional you're working with continually pushes that, then it's not for you. So if I had a client that came to me and was like, you know what, I'm not willing to talk about this traumatic experience that I had, but I just want to let you know that it happened. It does play a part into the issue that I'm having now, but I'm not quite ready to talk about it in full detail just yet. My answer would be like, okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. If I ask you a question that feels like it's prying too much into that, then let me know and we can change directions. If at any time you are uncomfortable and maybe like I'm talking about something else, but it's bringing up the traumatic experience, whatever it was, let me know and we can go a different direction, right? So it's about a collaborative effort. The client is letting me know, hey, I'm not willing to go there just yet. And I'm continually checking in to make sure that I'm not going in that area like accidentally, right? It is the client's decision when they want to touch on the area, if at all. My clients can still get results even if they don't want to talk about that traumatic experience. There are other things that you can do that you can work on to get results, because that experience does not define you, right? Even if that experience never happened, there are probably still other things that would be impacting your sex life and you having the issues that you have now. We tend to try to compartmentalize things. Compartmentalize? Is that how you say that? Anyways, we try to do those things. We try to compartmentalize things all the time. And it's not that simple. We are holistic beings. My clients get on calls and talk about work all the time. My one client was coming in and telling me the other day about her child who's really fearful at the dentist and how she was upset and like pissed off that she had to pay extra at the dentist because her daughter just simply wasn't ready to see a dentist. And yes, that definitely impacts your sex life. It impacts the day that you're having. It impacts your relationship, right? It's not always negative, but it's still an impact. And so it's super important to talk about. We don't only talk about sex on these calls. I say all this to say, I know that I kind of like segued into something else, but I say all that to say that we don't have to talk about sex all the time. And any good professional knows that. If you are addressing sexual issues and frustrations, that doesn't mean you have to always be talking about sex, because it is so much more than the act in and of itself. That also means you don't always have to talk about the traumatic experiences or even non-traumatic, just like annoying, irritating experiences that you've had in the past. You don't have to always talk about those either. You can talk about the good things. You can talk about work. You could talk about your children, your family, etc. I don't care. You don't always have to go to like the pressure point, right? To the most sore point. It doesn't make any sense to do that. Just like when you go to get a massage, they're going to work on the areas that are hurting you, but they're also going to work on other areas because the muscles are connected. They're going to work on areas that aren't causing as much pain, that are then going to impact the muscles that are in pain. So they're helping you indirectly, and that is what a good professional should be able to do. You should definitely be uncomfortable when you're working on these pain points, like in your, sexual issues and frustrations. You should be uncomfortable, but not overly uncomfortable, right? And that discomfort should also be acknowledged by the professional, right? It makes total sense that you're feeling uncomfortable right now, and that's okay, and it's totally fucking normal. But uncomfortability is also not the only thing you should be feeling. Sometimes you're not ready to talk about sex, but you want to fix your sex life. And it's the professional's job to work around that, not yours. So the last thing that I want to talk about that you should look out for is people that are not sex positive or a specialist in the area. So what does this mean? There are many great therapists out there, and coaches as well, but this portion is like mainly for therapists there are many great therapists out there, and a lot of people go to licensed therapists for help with sexual issues and frustrations. The problem is, not every therapist has specialized in sex. And so they're just going based off of like what they were self-taught or a workshop they went to or whatever. If you are going to see a therapist that for sexual issues and frustrations, you definitely need to make sure that they are AASECT certified. I will leave that link in the show notes. It's AASECT. It is a board that certifies therapists, counselors, and educators in order to make sure that they've gotten the appropriate education. They are getting continuing education, and so they are knowledgeable about, comprehensive sex ed. If you decide to go the non-therapist route, so, what is that person or program teaching? You want to ask yourself that, look for that. What are they basing their teachings on, right? Are they basing it off of, proven therapy techniques? Are they basing it off of science-based sex education? Or is it just some kind of made up shit, right? There's a lot of misinformation about sex out there, especially when it comes to coaches and educators, as we'll talk more next week about, licensing and certification, like education, all the things. So it's super important to figure out, where this person is getting their information from. You want to be really leery of, I still don't know if I'm saying that word right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you want to be leery of religious-based education. And not that religion is bad in and of itself. However, a majority of the religious-based sex education is like abstinence only. It teaches that porn is an addictive behavior. It is not. That's a whole other episode, but just throwing it out there, it is not. I'm not telling you that you can't have your religious beliefs, and if you believe you shouldn't have certain types of sex, or should only have sex with a partner, or should only have, you should not have premarital sex, all of those things, you can keep those beliefs. And oftentimes these religious-based sex education programs, or, whatever they are often filled with misinformation. And that is the problem that I have with it, is they don't teach. It's a lot of misinformation, and it's a lot of omitted information. So you're not teaching them about their body. You're not teaching them about, preventing STIs and things like that. It's a more of a lot of shameful type education and trying to prevent people from having sex. And that's not the best route. So be leery of those things. There are a few great sex educators that are religious. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but there is one Christian-based person that I can think of. I can picture her face in my mind, but I do not know the name. I will look it up and put it in my show notes. There's also, I believe she's Muslim. I could be wrong, but I will post both of their Instagram handles in the show notes so that you have it. And all in all, as I was saying, the most of the religious-based sex education, it just promotes sex negative behaviors, and that's not what we want. Especially if you're trying to solve for these sexual issues and frustration, you don't want to leave feeling more shameful. And another thing to look out for is, blaming behaviors. This is for any program that is teaching you blaming behaviors, trying to change your partner, or what did you do to do this, or to create this, and things like that. Very blaming behaviors. You want to be leery of those as well. So now we are going to get into what to look for. What do you want? How do I find a good program, right? Because we just went over a ton of things to stay away from. So what do you want to look for in these programs? Okay, so what do you want to look for when it comes to looking for a therapist or a coach or a program to help you with these sexual issues and frustrations? So it's essentially the opposite of the previous list, but I'm just going to quickly share it. So what to look for? Someone that you resonate or connect with. This is like the main thing that you want to look for. Do they understand your culture, your gender, or other important identities that you hold? Are they willing to hold space for that, even if they don't hold the same identities? So maybe you are a female Latina who is also a lesbian, and you go to a therapist or a coach or get with a program where the person is a female Latina, but they're straight. Are they willing to hold space for that, for your identity, right? For your sexual orientation? And this can go for anything, right? It could be like if you went to a Latin male instead, right? Like if they don't share the same identities, are they willing to hold space for that? Treat going to therapy and searching for a program or a coach like Russian roulette. For therapy, it is a little bit easier to do this. Like you can see them for a few sessions typically and then decide to change. If you don't like it, move on. With coaching and with programs, oftentimes it's a little bit harder because like you've already kind of, you've already paid for it typically, or, you already started working with them. So definitely do your research into the program about like what it offers and kind of what are the stipulations about, refunds and things like that. But definitely you should already have somewhat of a connection with someone before you start working with them. So do they offer consult calls, for example, which is a reason why I actually offer consult calls, is for you to see like, hey, do I vibe with this person, right? That's super important. See if they are willing to do a consult call with you. And if they have like a no refund policy, whatever, and you've already paid for the program and you're just like, I'm not really vibing with them, that isn't to say that you can't get some information from the program. There are actually entire certifications that I've done that I was like, absolutely not in 100 years would I ever do that again. However, I definitely gained a lot out of that program, and I can probably do an entire episode on that again. So maybe I'll do a third episode about like programs and, or maybe you're working with someone and you're not getting what you wanted out of it, but you can always get something out of it. You also want to look for something that's going to get to the root of the problem. So why do you do what you're doing? Why is your problem a problem in the first place? Why is this happening, right? So this can be any type of modality using mindset work, cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT, things like that. You definitely, want to make sure that some of that is going on, right? There's some form of like questioning into the root of the problem versus just like giving you these quick fixes and action items. You also want to make sure that you can find someone or something, thing being a program, that will meet you where you are, that allows you to be human. You don't have to be perfect to show up to the calls. They're like, oh, I don't want any babies or pets on the screen. You have to have like a perfect background. You have to show up in like dressed up or, like whatever. Like, no. You should be able to show up and be humans. Babies and pets are always allowed on my calls. I don't give a shit if your hair is done or you have to take the call from your car or work to get some privacy, right? Your kids at home, they're listening. This is a sensitive subject, right? As long as you're engaged and willing to show up, then I am here for it. And you deserve to have a program like that as well. The program or session shouldn't be another thing that you like, quote unquote, have to do. It should be something that you look forward to, right? You also want to look for something with support. So you can totally make changes on your own. I 100% believe that. And if that was the route you were supposed to take, if that was the thing that was going to get you to where you want to go, you would have done it already. The missing factor in like you resolving your problems is the support. So, do you feel supported in between sessions? Are there options for support? Does your therapist help you find support? Do they encourage support? Right? Does your coach have some type of support set up for you? Is the program, do they have like a Facebook group or a Slack or like a text thread? I don't know. Something to really, support you in between classes or sessions. You also want to look for something with celebrations. If your coach or therapist or program isn't celebrating you along the way, even before you get to the main result you're looking for, then you need to leave. Seriously, celebration just doesn't happen at the end. It happens along the way. And if you are not being celebrated along the way, then you are not going to get to where you want to go. You truly need to celebrate yourself along the way. So next, I'm going to talk about how La Sinvergüenza Symposium, my group coaching program, how it measures up to all of these things. And then I'll provide you with a quick summary on what to be leery of, what to look for at the end. Okay, so how does La Sinvergüenza Symposium, my 6-month group coaching program, how does that measure up? So I cannot tell you whether or not you connect or resonate with me, but I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this podcast and you've made it this far in this episode, you probably resonate with me to some extent, right? But you kind of have to figure that out for yourself. What I can tell you is that we can figure out together whether or not, we connect, we make a good fit as coach and client by getting on a consultation call with me so that we can, have a discussion about what's going on and we can see if we are a good fit together. You can do that by getting on the waiting list for La Sinvergüenza Symposium, and that link is in the show notes. Once you get on the wait list, I will be opening up consultation calls later next month, and so you will have first access if you are on the wait list. You can also figure out whether or not you connect or resonate with me by engaging with me on social media, commenting on my posts, sending me messages, having a conversation with me. I'm always open to have conversations in the DMs, things like that. Send me an email, anna@sexandspanglish.com. Watch my videos on TikTok. Those are all ways to figure out whether or not you connect or resonate with me specifically. And that's also how you figure out whether or not you resonate with other coaches and other programs. I will say an easy way to tell whether or not you will resonate with me is that my clients are Latinas who get shit done. They are moms, business owners, matriarchs, supervisors. These ladies do it all. And I will say that not all of them are Latinas. Many of them are women of color that are just not Latina. And they're like, yeah, I'm like Filipina or whatever. And I totally fucking get it too. Like, I am not Latina, but I totally hear you out on what you're saying. I get it. I get the struggle. So these ladies do it all, and they are struggling with their sex life. This is the one thing they feel like they don't have a handle on. They're like, if you fix this, my life will be fucking perfect. Like, this is my main, this is my, what do they call it? Like my white elephant, like the thing, that's the main sore point, right? If this is you, you're probably a good fit for my program. We will probably connect. I rarely give my clients direct answers. So if they ask me what to do, I will ask them what they think they should do. Seriously, you can ask any of my clients. It's so much more powerful for my clients to answer this than it is for me. You know you more than anyone else, and I'm just here to guide you. I do not offer quick fixes. I do not offer the answer. I truly believe that you have the answers inside of you already, and it is my job as your coach to pull them out of you. There's also community support in the group coaching program. We talk with one another on the coaching calls. We talk with one another on the Slack channel. There's also support in between the calls on the Slack channel. If you are one of my one-on-one clients, there's support in between one-on-one coaching sessions. So if you're losing your shit on a Friday and our calls aren't until Monday, you can reach out to me in Slack and we can have a coaching session right then and there on Slack. I also meet my clients where they are. If you're not ready to talk about sex, like I said, that is not a problem. Let's talk about something else. We could talk about work. We could talk about your family. We could talk about your suegra. I do not care. We can talk about anything, but I do not care. We don't need to talk about sex. And I can guarantee you that I can relate anything that we talk about back to sex. Try me. I also value my clients' perceptions and values. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. If you want to believe in unicorns, that's on you. Who am I to stop you? If you want to believe that missionary with the lights turned off and like only bottoms off is like the superior way to have sex, go off. I do not care. That is not my business to tell you to do something else. Who am I to stop you? I'm less concerned with what you believe and more concerned with how you are utilizing that belief as a weapon against yourself, because 9 times out of 10, that is what you are doing. I have clients that show up and say, you know what, I don't believe in premarital sex, but I did have premarital sex and now I'm shaming myself for it. I just can't get over it. You can still hold that belief and stop shaming yourself because it is not helping anyone. And as I said in my religion episode, it is not getting you into heaven any faster. It is not helpful to anyone. I'm also sex positive. I accept vanilla, kinky, and anything in between. There are many people that reach out to me and are like, well, I'm afraid that you're going to tell me like I have to start into BDSM. I'm not even into BDSM. Like, it interests me, but do I actively participate? Am I in the community? No. It's a lot of work. I'm not willing to do that, right? It does interest me, but I wouldn't say that that's something that I participate in. And I'm totally fine with that, right? If you don't want to do it or you do want to do it, then by all means, right? If I have a client that comes in and it's like, yeah, I'm really engaged in the BDSM community, guess where I am going to be learning about a bunch of shit in regards to the BDSM community. As of now, I have very basic knowledge on it, and I will gain more knowledge if and when the time comes that I need to do so. But I'm not here to tell you that you have to do that. We also celebrate every day in the community. So whether you are in the group coaching program or you are a one-on-one client, we definitely celebrate every single day. It is super important. We don't only celebrate the sexual wins. We celebrate any and everything because celebration is how we continue getting up and taking one more step each and every day. We also question everything. And the reason we do that is because we want to get to the root of the problem. Many people stay very surface level when it comes to, sexual issues and frustrations or just problems in general that you're having. You stay very surface level. No, you want to get to the root of the problem. Why are you doing what you are doing? So that is how La Sinvergüenza Symposium and my one-on-one coaching program measures up to the list that I've provided you. So next I'm going to go into a quick summary of the do's and don'ts. I will also provide a list. I can create a list and send it out to y'all if you would like it. Send me an email at anna@sexandspanglish.com and I will send you that list. Okay, so in summary, the don'ts. The look out for these things. Warning, aguas. The answer or the quick fix, anything offering an answer, the answer, one and only answer or a quick fix, not resonating with the provider, only giving you action items, trying to change your beliefs or your desires, doesn't meet you where you are, not sex positive, as in not a professional that is a specialist in the area, or sex positive. So what you want to look for is someone that you resonate or connect with, someone or something that will meet you where you are and that allows you to be human, something with support outside of the sessions or the classes, and something with celebrations that teaches you and encourages you to celebrate. So that is all that I have for you this week. Again, I have these listed out. So if you would like a copy of these, send me an email at anna@sexandspanglish.com and I can send that over to you. Just let me know that you heard this episode and that you want the list, and I will send it over. If you want to figure out whether or not that we connect or resonate with one another, and you want to get on a call with me, get on the wait list if you're interested in La Sinvergüenza Symposium. I have room for 2 one-on-one clients. So if you want to talk about working one-on-one, send me a message, and you can send me an email at sexandspanglish.com. You can send me a DM on my social medias, and we will talk about that. So I will talk to y'all next week. Have a good one. Hey mujer, this is your invitation to join La Sinvergüenza Symposium. Redefine what it means to be a sinvergüenza and learn to do the things you enjoy without shitting on yourself. The waitlist is open and ready for your name. The link to join is in the show notes. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes are released. Join me every week to hear me talk about orgasms, foreskin, dildos, and all the other cochinadas your abuela didn't tell you about. But that's not all. We'll also discuss machismo, la tía metiche, and sexual stories from other Latinas just like you. And if you're ready to start spicing up your sex life tonight, then be sure to download my free ebook, Spice It Up con la Sex Coach. You can find the link in the show notes. And finally, let's keep in touch. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Sex and Spanglish. Be sure to follow me and let me know you heard this episode. Deseándote todo el placer, porque el placer es poder.